Okay, so now you have completed the leg and lower body mobility day as far as the lifting portion. The general consensus amongst strength and conditioning professionals is that static stretching, like just regular old touch your toes kind of stretching, is actually not beneficial prior to lifting weights. And so our stretching and our mobility work is often going to be better served for us after performing our lift. And so I'll go ahead and get into it. One of these, this is the first one that I want you to do. It's called a step over duck under. This is one that when I played at TCU, we did almost every day before anything. We had hurdles that we used instead of a rope, but there's a lot of different ways to set it up. This is going to be great for the mobility with your hip flexors and being able to open up your hips and help you with your guard position. Okay, so here that over and duck under, you're going to be here next to the rope. Your the leg that's closest to it is going to go up and over, and up and over. I might have that a little too high, but you get the idea. I want you to go over and back is 1, so that's 1. I want you to do 5 reps. Okay, after you've completed that, you're going to move on to the duck unders. Here you're going to take a wide step with the leg closest to it underneath. Here you're going to kind of do a Cossack squat type variation to get underneath it and then step through. Try to bend at the hips and not with the lower back. And you'll do 5 total reps of that as well. Okay, the next one here is the pendulum swing. Find yourself something to lean on like this, and you want to stay up on the toe of the foot that's stationary. The stretch actually occurs from this portion. You're going to feel it on, can't remember the name of this muscle group right here, but it's actually the outside of your glute. Let the momentum of your leg going up carry through. Keep your toe pointed down when you go up like that. And about 12 to 15 reps of each side. From there, another leg swing that's a really good one is, I've heard them called rocket kicks or Frankensteins, but your arms are out here and you want to try to basically put your knee on your forehead, okay? Sometimes it's easier to do them while walking. So I'll, like that. Try not to walk too far because I'm sticking in the camera, but it's just like a high kick, like that. I always do these alternating. I do about 10 each side. The next thing we're going to move on to is called a hip airplane. I want you to, it might be easier to see from this angle, I want you to lean on something. There's a lot of different ways to do this. This is how I prefer to do them. You're here, your leg is slightly bent, and you are focusing on opening the hip. Okay? Try to picture a string is on your knee. You let it go all the way back down. Picture a rope is pulling your pelvis wide open, like that. Okay? Do them like right side, left side, where they're isolated, and do 10 reps of each side. We're going to do what's called a fire hydrant. The reason it's called a fire hydrant because I want to imagine yourself being a dog taking a piss on a fire hydrant. So you're down on all fours here, you're in an athletic position, your back is flat, you have your weight evenly distributed. You're here, you take your knee on the side that you're working. It's kind of like a hip airplane where you are opening up the hip, pausing gently at the top, getting about 10 to 12 reps each side. Another variation of these are, and you can play with what you prefer, another variation is to have the leg straight out with the toe pointed down here and over-exaggerate the toe being down, but just simply lifting the leg. It's a very similar stretch, but these are neat too because you can add some circles into it and actually build some strength in those muscles along with the mobility. But Again, these are the fire hydrants. The one with the leg out versus the bent knee are kind of interchangeable. Whatever you prefer. Okay, now we'll have to play with these. Based upon how your hip is feeling, but a stretch and a range of motion that has helped me a lot in jiu-jitsu is what's called a pigeon pose, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but it's actually a really great way that I've escaped a lot of leg attacks. Being able to rotate the foot completely in and be able to flatten out in this position is very advantageous in a lot of ways in jiu-jitsu. There are squat variations off of this to where you actually are going up and down, but for now, for the mobility work purposes, I want you to just get comfortable sitting into this position. The leg behind it is straight. If this is very easy for you, let us know and we can add in some ways to deepen it to a further range of motion. But again, this is a pigeon pose. This is one that you want to, I don't know if you've ever done yoga, but it's one that you want to breathe and relax into the stretch. So each time sinking further and further. But it's a really great way to open the hips. A similar thought process with this stretch. It's working the same thing that you would work by pulling the leg to the chest here. Okay, and this is very useful for jiu-jitsu. Okay, last one here in our mobility portion that you're doing after your leg day is a seated saddle stretch. I actually just learned about these and I really like them. They cover a lot of bases, and you want to have the most tension on the hand that is not close to the weight. That's actually what's going to control how far your range of motion is. Okay. This is something you want to be very careful with and be very slow and controlled. Don't let the hammer touch the ground. Okay. You can just add, if you want to sink deeper, just start to pull it up like this. The hammer should be outside of the foot, and then as you come up, you can switch hands and perform the same thing on the other side. These are going to strengthen your obliques. They help with, I like them so much because a lot of times in jiu-jitsu we're put in very uncomfortable positions where our ribs are compressed, and it kind of replicates that. But it's a great way to stretch a lot of different parts of the hip. Hey, Bird. You can come say hi. Come say hi. No, these are really great. I want you to do about 5 slow and controlled reps for each side. You can say hi to the camera. Yeah. Say hi. Hi. Oh no! I missed it. You missed it. To reiterate, it's generally accepted that static stretching is more beneficial after performing your lift. So once you've done the mobility routine that's at the end, that is your time to do some stretching. I don't know if you can do the splits, but this would be a good opportunity and a good time to work towards the splits. You can ease into it by starting out with just a very wide stance and trying to touch your head to the floor, like this. You can control the pressure that you're letting down with your forearms, like this. And then as you get more and more comfortable, you can sit down further and further. But eventually that's going to become easier and easier. But remember, I really only want you doing your static stretching after you've performed your lift and your mobility routine. Daddy.